Hey guys, just got back from seeing the Carrie remake. Went to a late night screening at like a 10 p.m. screening. Sorry. But before I get into my review of the remake, I figure I should give you my thoughts on the original film. Um, the original film is one of my top 10, one of my favorite films of all, or favorite horror films of all time. It's definitely in my top 10. Um, I don't know where, but I'm pretty sure if I were to rank it, it would end up on there. I really, really enjoyed this film. The first one. It's, in my opinion, like a horror classic. I mean, the prom scene is like a pretty iconic horror movie scene. Sissy Spacek, especially in that scene, is really, really freaky. Um, she gives me heebie-jeebies still. Like the look that she was giving people, like when she's like staring at people and everything else was just like so creepy. Really freaky. I really like Sissy Spacek in it. I mean, also it introduced people like John Travolta to the world, and that's really cool. But the thing I really enjoyed the most about the original Carrie was Piper Laurie as Margaret White. Um, my God, that woman, oh, she could be over the top. She was over the top a lot at points, but my God, could that woman be really frightening at other points? And a lot of people forget. I almost forget all the time too. That she actually got an Oscar nomination for that role, and that's really cool. And I think it's a little known fact that some people don't, or that gets overlooked a lot of times, and it was really well deserved. And honestly, she could have won an Oscar. I don't know what won that year. I mean, I wasn't even born then, but I really, really enjoyed Carrie, the original Carrie. It's really, really good. And so when I first heard her remaking Carrie, I was like, oh God, why? I mean, obviously, with every remake, you're wondering why do we need a remake of a already classic film? And that's all that happens all the time. Like I said that about Evil Dead. I said about it almost every horror film that's been remade. And but at the same time, I was like, maybe it'll be good, whatever. And then I was hearing who they were casting, and once I started hearing who was being casted, like Julianne Moore as Margaret White and Chloe Grace Moretz as Carrie White, I went, okay, I could see this being a good movie. And then I heard Kimberly Pierce, the girl that made Boys Don't Cry, was directing it. It's like, okay, this could be a really good flick. I have some high hopes here now. And yeah, the trailers weren't exactly great, but I was still kind of holding out hope. And I was kind of a little bit worried, I'll admit, earlier this week when there wasn't any reviews popping up on Rotten Tomatoes or anywhere. I didn't see any reviews for this movie earlier this week until earlier today that any reviews start popping up. It kind of worried me a little bit. And the reviews earlier today were really pretty good. It was getting a 60%, but now the reviews have gotten worse as the days progress. But it's still getting like mixed reaction from critics. And I was intrigued whether or not this movie would be good or not. I mean, I honestly, with the cast that it had, I didn't think it could be that bad. Um, so obviously, the question is now, what do I think of it? I thought the movie was an okay flick. It definitely is nowhere even close to being as good as the original. Not even freaking close. But even though this movie has its problems, I enjoyed it for what it was. It's not. I mean, it's not necessary. Obviously, like most remakes, it's not really necessary for this movie to exist. I could kind of see why this movie exists, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. But I, it's I was fine with it. I wasn't mad about it. I I wasn't like when I saw the Halloween remake where I was pissed off. I just walked out there going, well, alright, that was an okay remake. There was nothing really terrible about it, and it just maybe felt just a little too unnecessary, honestly. There are problems with it. I'll get into that in a little bit. There are some issues I do have with this movie, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. I do want to talk about what I generally liked about this movie, and that one of the big factors is the two main actors, Chloe Grace Moretz and Julianne Moore. I thought for having to take over two very iconic roles, I thought they did a good enough job. I thought Chloe Grace Moretz fit really well into that role, was really good. It was kind of funny seeing Hit Girl basically playing an awkward teenager, which I was like, well, that's basically what she was playing in Kick-Ass 2, which then made me think, wouldn't that be awesome if Hit Girl had freaking telekinetic powers? That'd make it even more interesting of a movie. And it would make her revenge against this teenage girls in Kick-Ass 2 even better. I was sitting there thinking about that as while this movie was going on. But I was sitting there like, it's kind of funny watching this girl who's most famous for playing a really badass kind of character play like a really like shy, awkward girl. And she does it well. I think she's a really good young actress, and I expect great things from her in the future. Like maybe like she'll be like Sissy Spacek. Maybe she'll be an Oscar winner. I hope she does. I mean, she's not gonna win an Oscar for this, but I mean, she does a good job. I mean, obviously, you can make comparisons between her and Sissy Spacek. I'm sure everybody's making comparisons, and I haven't heard what her Sissy Spacek. But I've what she thought of it. I don't know if there has been any interviews with her yet, but I'm sure she does a good enough job. Julianne Moore, who when I first heard she was cast as Margaret White, I was so freaking excited because if there's anybody who could play that role really well and take Piper Laurie's place and do a good enough job, I was like, that's the perfect actress to do it. And Julianne Moore does deliver, honestly. She is really good in this. She does channel Piper Laurie a lot. She utters little infamous lines like dirty pillows and they're all gonna laugh at you, which you've seen in the trailer. And it doesn't have the same I will say that they're all gonna laugh at you line doesn't have the same effect that it does in the remake or the original, but she still does fine, and she carries her own. Again, no pun intended, by the way, of carry her own. I'm sorry, I didn't say that, but I thought she did fine. I thought she did really good. I thought she was, I mean, obviously, like I said, she does, channel Piper Laurie here and there, but she does a good enough job, and I like Julianne Moore a lot. I can never really complain about her. She plays crazy very well. She does very good in this. I also like Judy Greer, although this is gonna maybe get a little bit to what I didn't like, but Judy Greer at first I wasn't sure about, because alright, I haven't watched the original in a while, so maybe somebody can help me out with this. In the scene where Carrie, I don't remember this all specifically, but in the scene where Carrie has her period in the showers, in the girls' showers, does the gym teacher slap her after, like while she's freaking out, right in front of the students? I don't remember that happening. It happens in this movie. Judy Greer, this poor girl is just falling in the stairs, being made fun of by these girls getting tampons thrown at her, and Judy Greer just bitch slaps her. You're like, the fuck was that all about? It's like, that was just really fucking just traumatized the poor girl even more. I was like, man, honestly, maybe this is setting up for Judy Greer's character to kind of get killed. And then, like, but then she becomes sympathetic to Carrie's character. And, like, grows kind of like a relationship with her. And then she also says some stuff here and there throughout the movie. And you're like, are we supposed to like her? Or what the hell are we supposed to do? I don't know. I haven't seen the original movie in a long time. But I don't. Yeah, but she's good, and she has some good lines here and there. I did like Judy Greer here in that movie overall as a gym teacher. I like Judy Greer, anyways. As for the rest of the cast, they all play very douchebaggery characters. Good God, I couldn't wait for some of these characters to die. They're really obnoxious and annoying. Like, that's the problem with, like, setting it in modern times, is that you really want to see these characters die even more than you did in the original, because they're even worse. Like, this generation is worse on, like, being a douchebag. And I mean, you got people like to act like Jersey Shore. Well, there's not anybody that acts like Jersey Shore in this movie. I don't see, I'll say this, I don't see any of those, because a lot of those young actors that were in the original film have kind of gone on to have careers of their own. Good example, John Travolta. One of his first roles ever in film was Carrie, and now he's a pretty big actor. And I don't see any of these guys doing that. I don't. I really don't. I'm gonna say that off the bat. I don't see much of a career. I thought they were fine, but some of them were fine. Like the kid who played Tommy and the girl who played Sue were okay. Like the girl that played Christy, I couldn't wait for that girl to fucking die. I was like, the only reason I could stand her, this is going into spoiler alerts, the only reason I stood her throughout the movie was because I knew that she was going to get her comeuppance by the end of the movie. And she does get her comeuppance, which is nice. Now let's get into what, I guess, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I really love. I guess, yeah, like I said, this movie was solid flick, and I think throughout the first half it was good. Now let's get into why I kind of complain about this movie, and that is the last half. First off, the prom scene. Now the prom scene is pretty good. There is some good stuff here and there. There are some good deaths in this movie. That kind of sounds sick, but it is a pretty good scene. Not even nowhere close, but nowhere even fucking close to the original. How effective the original, like, just the way, watch that freaking original prom scene, scene over again. Like, the split screens and stuff like that, and, like, the effects, everything are really good in that movie. This one relies a lot, and this is what I was worried about. This movie does rely a lot on CGI, and it does throughout the first half here and there, but in the last half it goes a little overboard. There are some CGI shots that do look good and here and there, but there are a lot just like oh Jesus God. Like, the original didn't need CGI. It looked really impressive with what effects it had. Evil Dead, the remake of Evil Dead showed that you don't need CGI to be reliant on CGI the whole fucking movie to make it good. God damn it. Like, can't anybody I hope people start taking note from the remake of Evil Dead. Practical effects kick are really a lot better than freaking the CGI effects. But yeah, apparently this movie didn't pay attention to that. There are just some really cartoony CGI effects, like CGI blood in there. One point, freaking Carrie floats I am not joking. I'm like, the fuck, really? Carrie, like literally, how she gets out of the school is that she floats on in air, like in the air, basically. Instead of like just walking, she just floats. And honestly, you don't even see her leave the school, so you kind of just like one scene she's floating in the school, like in the gymnasium, and the next scene she's like walking down the road, and you're like, how the hell did she get out of there? But you know how whatever. I was like, and like plus there's survivors too. Like nobody tried to stop her. I guess. Well, I guess I wouldn't either if this girl is just burned down your freaking school. I guess I wouldn't blame them. But it kind of brings up that question: why wouldn't anybody try to stop her? I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking that a little bit, but then yeah, there are some cool effects like the how the Christie character kind of meets her end is kind of cool. I like the effect. There's like an effect for a windshield that looked really impressive. I thought that was kind of good. But and I kind of felt like the prom scene was rushed a little bit too. That kind of was a little weird. But the one thing that really did piss me off, I was fine with the prom scene. The one thing that irritated me was the end. And I'm not gonna get into. I'm gonna try my hardest not to get into spoilers. But it kind of goes like it rushes for the end. Like there's at one point, like after all that's over, all the main stuff is over. They show the main survivor, like talking at like a looks like a Senate hearing, for God's sake, and there's no setup to that whatsoever. There's no setup to like at the beginning of the movie where she's like usually you have that at the beginning, like you put that something like that at the beginning of the movie where so it sets it up so they go back to it later. No, there's no setup to it. She's just there and it's just pointless and it just cuts away like. And you're like, oh, what the fuck was the point of that? She just is talking to like a Senate hearing about the events that happen, and you're like, well, what the fuck was the point of that? I believe that was in the original book. I think, as I never read the book, but from what I've heard from the book, I think that is in there. And you're like, well, you still gotta kind of set it up. It felt like a deleted scene that just got left in there for some reason. I don't know why. And then, oh, god damn it. The ending. Alright. This is gonna get, I'm gonna try to not spoil this. You know how the original movie ended? You know how, like, the girl had a dream and stuff? You know how that, yeah. At one point, I'm just gonna say this, they end up, the movie kind of ends at a cemetery, and I'm like, oh, Jesus, God, you're gonna go, I was like, oh, man, they're gonna, like, I was hoping they wouldn't. I was like, in the back of my mind, I was like, I wonder if they are going to do that. And I was like, oh god, as soon as the girl was they show the girl in the cemetery, and I'm like, oh shit, they're gonna reenact that scene. I like that scene from the original, but I was like, oh, you don't need to do that. No, they don't, which is a plus. But then they do something even dumber by having a real crappy CGI effect on a tombstone that kind of hints that there's going to be a sequel. And you're like, what the fuck? It's like I didn't understand what the point of. It's kind of hard to explain without giving it away, but it's like it kind of hints at a sequel. And you're like, what the fuck? And then I didn't stay for like through the credits or anything, but there's a rumor flying around that there's a post-credit scene, and I just read it, and I'm like, I haven't heard whether that's true or not. I haven't seen anything about it, but if it is, I'm glad I didn't miss that, because that would have pissed me off. I hope it's not true. I don't know. I can't tell you whether it is or not, but if it is, God, that would have pissed me off. Is then it definitely is setting up a sequel, and you're going, God damn it, you don't need a sequel to Carrie. And, oh, by the way, speaking of sequels of Carrie, there's a point where at the prom they well the whole thing about this movie is like, oh, this is the Carrie for the new generation, because they basically when the shower scene happens when she's having her period, the girls take out their camera phones and they're starting to videotape her or record her while this is all happening, and then one of the girls puts it on YouTube. That's a very classy thing to do. And I wouldn't doubt something like that would be on YouTube. But then during the prom, when she gets covered with blood, somebody gets a laptop and starts playing the period video on the big screens, on the screens that are set up in the gymnasium, and I was like, that looks familiar. What the hell? Like, I was like, why is that? I was like, oh, that's fucking Carrie 2, Rage Carrie 2, which is a piece of shit. That's like a scene right out of Rage Carrie 2. I'm not joking. And you're like, the fuck? Why do you gotta remind me of that piece of crap movie? I'm like, I don't know if I'm the only one who got that. You're like, why the fuck does they have to be reminded of that movie? Ugh, that movie pissed me off. Speak of really unnecessary sequels, Jesus criminy. But I don't know what else to talk about. I'm trying not to spoil this for you. I'll put a spoiler warning about it. But do I recommend it? Yeah, I guess it's maybe even wait till it's cheap theater, or go see with a group of friends or whatever. If you're a fan of the original, you might be curious to watch it. I guess go see it. It's nothing really like I said, it didn't piss me off. I mean, I didn't regret watching it. I probably will watch it again if I get a chance. It's not a terrible movie. And like I said, the performances for the main actors carry this movie, again, no pun intended, immensely. Really, really like I said, enjoyed both Chloe Grace Moretz and Julianne Moore a lot. But before I get off of here, I do want to talk about 2 trailers that I did get. Because I have to talk about these. Because I got a lot of new trailers. I got like The Hobbit new trailer. Looks good. I also got a lot of crappy trailers like Endless Love and About Last Night. All these romantic freaking movies, all for the women. Pompeii, which it's Roland Emmerich doing a movie about Pompeii, the volcano disaster and all stuff like that. But it kind of looks like if Roland Emmerich were directing 300. That's the way I thought it looked like. The way that movie looked like. He's like, oh, this is what 300 would have looked like if I made it. That's what I kind of thought it looked like. But the 2 trailers that stuck out, this January coming up, next January, it's going to be a funny month. And all for the wrong reasons. First we got opening up the year, and that's usually a bad weekend because the last 2 weekends, the last 2 movies to open up the year 2011 and 2012 and 2013 have been Devil Inside and Texas Chainsaw 3D, and both movies have been really, really bad movies. Well, next year we're getting Paranormal Activity, the marked ones. It's basically a Paranormal Activity spinoff, but it's kind of set in the same universe, but it's taking place in the Latino community, and it looks like freaking The Devil Inside meets Paranormal Activity meets The Exorcist. It's like all these looks like it's trying to be an exorcism movie while also being a Paranormal Activity movie. Like, what the fuck is that? It does have some creepy images here and there, like girls with like no eyes or something. What the hell? There were some creepy images in that trailer, but I don't understand why anybody's filming this either. It's kind of, you'll have to explain that one. I'm interested in what the excuse is. It does try to set up like tie in other movies like the stepdaughter from the first or the second one pops up. That's really weird. So it explains that her stepmom was killed by her step aunt. It was, yeah, that's what happened. So yeah, that's that. But then I got this trailer for this movie. It's a found footage movie. It's like a Rosemary's Baby esque film, and it's called, get this, Devil's Due. I don't know why I laughed so hard when I first heard that title. I laughed my ass off when I first heard that title. Like, Devil's Due, really? That's what you're gonna call your movie? It's about a woman who on with her husband on a honeymoon in Puerto Rico, somewhere like that, and then she gets pregnant unexpectedly, and she's giving birth to the Antichrist. That's basically it. So it's Rosemary's Baby, basically. It looks really unintentionally funny. I might actually go, I want to see that. It actually looks kind of unintentionally funny. It does have the kid who plays Matt Saracen and from Friday Night Lights. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But why the hell are you in this movie? I just watched. I was watching Last Stand. He was in that new Arnold movie. Man, I'm getting on 27 minutes here. All right. But yeah. I guess go see Carrie if you want, if you're curious. It's not that bad. I'll be back maybe tomorrow or sometime this weekend with Escape Plan. And also, there's Rush just came to my cheap movie theater, so I'll probably try to fit that in sometime soon. So I'll be back definitely with Escape Plan if in the next couple days, if not tomorrow. Until then, I'll talk to you guys later.